So I've been around this committee and coming to this event a long time, and I think you have been hosting it for 4 full seasons now, right?
Yeah, we did one at another place, and it's been 3rd season at Hudson.
Right, so we do about 10 years. So you've done about 40 interviews.
Easy 40.
And you're still this bad.
Yeah.
Isn't 20 about the number where you're either fired or hired again? I mean, anyway.
20 should be the point where you decide.
Okay, so
yeah.
Favorite guests or interviews that kind of stand out. I'll tell you one for me before you go, and it's just because it was a great bit. When you interviewed Carrie from Lucky Bastard, and you had the vodka up here, and you didn't tell anybody that it was water, and you were banging the shots, and I
bet
sat
some
back.
people just found out for the first time that was water.
So I sat at the back of the room, and I was freaking out because I honestly thought you had 17 shots of vodka. And I have socialized with you, and I was wondering how you were holding it together, but you were. And I kept saying to the people at my table, like, wow, like, how's he gonna do this? We got to get him home. He's gonna like flat out here right away. But it's a great bit.
Yeah, the best part about that bit was we left, like everybody leaves, and I went out to the front, and this lady that was at Chamber on Tap said, she saw me going into my truck, and she's like, do you need a mint or anything? I'm like, only in Saskatchewan. Only in Saskatchewan. Do you need a mint?
No, I just put a match in my mouth. That works. I suck on a penny. If you suck on a penny from 1973, apparently they can't breathalyze you.
Yeah. Definitely one that stands out, it was Bill Doyle from the Potash Corp. I'll never forget one, the guy made like $300 million that year. And I asked him, hey, if you do anything different, what would you do? And he said, I'd be a priest. And I was like, what? All right, that's fair. Didn't see that coming. But then he talked about, we eventually went into another part that I will never forget. He talked about when he graduated from university, he went to Asia with just a tent and a motorcycle. He said he toured all of Asia, and he said like you'd be sleeping in fields and back alleys, and he said what I learned there was how to get over fear, and as soon as you learn how to get over fear, you can accomplish anything. And I thought that was something pretty interesting, and that stuck to me. Another one, there's been so many. I mean, we had Heather, Prairie Sun Brewery, we ate the hops, that was good.
Who, if anyone, would you bring back from your guests for a second shot?
So far, this is going great. So I would do this again. If I could bring anyone back, you know, we've had lots of really cool guests, like from people that have like put their houses and families, like financial life at risk to start a business and had some success. Yeah, I don't know. Who would I do again? There's been a couple. Like Curtis Olson was fascinating. He had a cool story, easy to chat with. Sutton from Tiny Eye, he was a great guest. One thing he said that has always stuck in my head as well, he talked about how North America, we think really like horizontal. So if there's an opportunity, you got to jump on it because you're never going to get another one. And it's exactly why flyers work. I mean, we've all bought a TV that's on sale because it's a great sale, and then that TV's on sale 4 months later, you're like, ah, crap, I didn't need to finance this. And it would have saved the divorce. Oh, God. We've all thought that. But he said when he was traveling in Asia, what he realized was they view life very cyclical, and how if you miss an opportunity, there's going to be another one coming. Like it always comes back, and that stuck with me because it goes even back to the Doyle, the fear, right? Like we get so reactionary sometimes as leaders that we really don't do ourselves a favor. And I'm a young leader. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to learn as much as I can, and those little things kind of, I hope help. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, one more from me, and then we'll get serious.
Oh, man.
What do you like best about being the host?
I've always been very curious, very inquisitive, and it used to drive my parents insane. And I have 2 kids. My oldest is super inquisitive. And like, I remember I must have been 5 years old. It was in Winnipeg, and we were driving, and I was asking my dad, Dad, what about this? Hey, Dad, what about this? Hey, Dad, what about this? Hey, Dad, what about this? And I remember my mom just losing her mind, eventually be like, stop asking questions. And my dad said, this is how he's learning. Let him ask. He's very stoic. This is how he learns. This is making him a good human. So what I love about this job is I get to ask lots of questions, and I get to learn, and I pick up lots of stuff, not just meeting some really influential, successful people in the city, learning about them, who they are, and how they've applied it and had success. That's probably my favorite part.
That must have been crazy, having a dad that spoke like that.
It was. He's got pregnant pauses.
This is how he learns.
Yeah, that's, honest to God, anybody that knows Pastor John Drisner.
Okay, cool.
That's exactly
Let's
how
move it over to Andrea,
right.
and let's break it down and get real for a while.
Okay, let's get real. Thanks, Jason.
What do you got?
What do I got? Well, I think your last comment is a good segue into just talking about all your different roles in your life. So for the people that come here every month, they know you as your persona, as the host of Chamber on Tap, but you have many other roles in your life that you fill. And so I wanted to just give you the opportunity to talk about Nu-Fab, because we know something about quality cabinets, or at a good low cost or something.
Not a low cost. Not a low cost. A fair cost.
A fair cost. Okay, a fair cost. So you have an important leadership role at Nu-Fab, and I want you to describe your leadership role first.
Okay.
And then, what would your team members, how would they describe your leadership style?
Oh, man.
Let's get real.
All right, okay, we'll get real. So I work for Nu-Fab Building Products, quality cabinets at a fair price.
I got it now.
And obviously we have a lot of other things that are going on, and throughout the past 4.5 years at Nu-Fab, I started at the cabinet division, and we sold cabinets, and we've had some great success. Little to do with me. Got some great designers, had some good service people, really good administration help. We got a great team. Some of them are here, and I'm not saying that. I say that to their emails too. I try to always tell them how much I like them. But it's a great team, and we've had some great success, and because of the success we've had, I then was able to branch into the other divisions. Now, my role is I'm in charge of all the sales and business development for the whole company, and we're a company out of Winnipeg. All-Fab is our big company name. We have a branch here and in Regina, and I'm in charge of all the marketing and advertising for all of Saskatchewan. So the branding, marketing, all that stuff. It's been fun. It's been interesting to learn. I mean, I work with some really cool people and have a good time at work, and I try my best to always have fun. We put 40 plus hours a week into working with like people that we didn't get to pick. Like, you're forced to work with these people. And you spend 40 hours a week with people that aren't your family. And that's almost sometimes more than you get to spend with your family. So my leadership style, I try not to be reactionary. I try to let the experts help me make the decisions. They're the ones in the front lines. I'm not. I recognize that. I've worked for people that bark down at you these orders. And it's not fun to be in all the time. So and not that work is fun all the time. There's some stress for sure, but I try my best to lead in a way that that helps. My dad described it the best one time. When I first got out of university, he said, look, you're going to be in some leadership roles in your life.
Do the voice.
Evan, you're going to be in some leadership roles. I can do his laugh, but no one would know his laugh. And he said, you're going to be in some leadership roles, and this is what I've learned. And he's been a leader since I was born. And he said, when you have success, leadership is like a mirror. And when you have success, you point it at everyone around you, because you wouldn't have success if they weren't helping. If your whole team just said, no, we're not doing this, you don't have success. And he said, as soon as you have failure or things that don't go exactly how you want, you turn the mirror on and you look at yourself. And that's how I try to lead. Try not to be rammy, try to help people be more successful. How they would view it, probably almost, I think I'm not a micromanager, and I think sometimes people need to have people around you all the time helping you. That's my perception. Sometimes people feel a little lost if they don't have people kind of helping. But I don't know, at the end of the day, I just hope the people I work with feel like they have an opportunity to succeed and also an opportunity to enjoy their life. I hope.
Well, I have worked with you in the past and consider you a good friend, and I know you have an amazing gift at making people feel appreciated and valued, and people know that you care about them. So I'm sure many of the people that work with you would probably describe you in that same way. So
that's nice. Thanks. Tracy's loving this. Tracy's loving this because we're so being lovey-dovey. Stoneheart.
Yeah, Stoneheart over there, that's right. Well, and you have referenced growing up as a pastor's son,
yep.
And you are also an ordained minister. So talk about another role in your life.
Yep.
That title, whatever, right? A pastor's son,
yeah.
Came with some challenges and some benefits. And I would just like you to kind of bridge that into how that experience and upbringing impacts you in your role as a leader in business today.
Okay. So my dad, I'm actually 5th generation pastor's kid. And it's interesting because I grew up in a leader's house, like a leader that works in basically in the business world, it's like a board-run operations, and it's all membership driven. Like if your members don't like you, you're done. And how to achieve things is all volunteer based. So you have to keep volunteers passionate about what's going on and encourage them to keep pressing on, because volunteering isn't something you can just fire. You got to work with people and you got to encourage them to be better and to do stuff and to get connected. So that was always something that I've been able to kind of navigate through in the business sense, is that I'm used to being around people and I'm used to seeing things and results happen by a volunteer base, and watched how that was managed and encouraged and saw how that works. And it's been kind of neat. Also, I mean, obviously, growing up in a Christian house, a religious house, you're like forced into morals and like ethics and things like that. Like you have to do it.
Like having a coffee cup instead of this.
Exactly. It's water.
When you're on TV.
Yeah, and when you're on TV. So I think part of that has all been a product of growing up in that kind of an environment. My dad's always been a patient, kind man. I've seen him lead. He's also had a business. I remember we grew up poor, like powdered milk. Like we couldn't, and we had powdered milk. Like I would sit at the church every Sunday morning. My dad would shake everybody's hand as they left the building because he believed in relationships. And he always told me, like, people want to know you and they want to know you care about them. And that's something like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And he used to shake everybody's hand. And I would be like, Dad, why are you shaking that guy's hand? That guy's a jerk. Like, I've seen him. He complains about everything. And he would be like, his famous line is, there's not one person I've met I don't like, which works out well because there's a million that I've met that I don't like. I think just growing up in that environment, like we were poor, and I saw how my dad worked and put a lot of time into it. I remember standing, like I was going with my dad at the door, and he'd be shaking everybody's hands. And if I got like a quarter for one of the old ladies, like a quarter, that was more money than I got ever. And I would go to the store next door and I'd get some licorice. And that was like, I won the lottery because we didn't have a lot. And my dad worked hard. And then all of a sudden he was this pastor in this small church. And when I was little, we were a huge church, like 1,300 people that all have an opinion of who you should be as a kid, which is weird growing up and developing. You're trying to find yourself, but you have 1,300 people that are involved in your life and think they know you because you're the pastor's kid. It's weird. And then we moved, and all of a sudden my dad was in a smaller church, and then he kind of left for a bit and started this little church that didn't make enough money for the family. So then he started this business. And all of a sudden by high school, this business he started was successful. And all of a sudden I could go out for lunch. I could go out for lunch. And it was like, that was like boom, what? Like I can go somewhere and they're gonna cook and like I can have a pop? Oh man, it's not Pick-a-Pop. Like, or like, you know, you'd go to some Pick-a-Pop. Remember Pick-a-Pop? Yep. So we grew up and I watched my dad work hard for his family, and he'd work like all day, all night as this entrepreneur, and then he'd work his extra 3 hours and in the weekends for this church that he cared about. And I learned hard work. And you plug in, and even when you don't love stuff, you put effort. And it's not what you deserve, it's what you give and what you put back in, and that comes back.
Obviously your dad was very influential in your life and had a big impact on. We were tying it back to your leadership style, and you've mentioned lots of things that obviously has impacted the way you lead. And with different roles in your life, I'm kind of jumping around a bit, but I want to get to that role. Now you're a dad, yep. Right? And a husband. Yep. To your lovely wife, Danielle. Yep. And if any of you are friends with Evan on Facebook, or if you had your own motto or brand, you've seen Evan often put #LoveWins, right? So if you could just share with us a bit about what that #LoveWins means to you and your most important role as a husband and dad.
Okay, no bones about it. I'm not like this successful business owner, you guys. Like, so don't think you're gonna learn like incredible accounting tips from me. It's not gonna happen. You probably won't learn anything from me. But what you're gonna understand is I try my best. I don't know, like the love wins, we've all been there as kids, right? Like, I mean, there are some guys here like Rob Johnson who's just been smooth his whole life at Fast Sprint. Incredibly smooth. I was not. I was like this like music nerd pastor's kid that was like never allowed to do anything awesome. So like you didn't fit in with anyone. We're not allowed to play sports on Sunday. All this stuff. And I always remember thinking like, and then you kind of get into like this preteen, and at that point I was still a good kid, and like all the beautiful girls were going with these like mean guys in junior high, and all the guys that swore and like smoked cigarette butts from the Safeway parking lot. That's what all the beautiful girls were going after. I'm like, oh man, and you always heard the nice guy always comes in last. And I remember like, oh, I'm the nice guy. And it was weird hearing that saying and going, I think that's true actually. I have come in last all the time. All these girls smoking half cigarette butts with those cool guys, and I'm just going to church with the youth group. So nice guy comes in last, blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. Seinfeld fans. I think growing up, you start realizing more and more as an adult how that's actually not true. It is true when you're trying to like climb a totem pole, and anyone can be an aggressive, assertive driver and get somewhere quick. But that doesn't mean you have sustainability. That just means you were able to impress people at the right time and do the right things at a short term. Long term, I believe that love does win. If you're a good person and your motives are pure and you really mean good things, you're gonna have success in business. It doesn't mean you don't wanna make money. That's not what love wins means. It means, really what it means for me and my family is I get to give, not give to get.
Is there one thing that may surprise people about you?
You know what, I think what people don't expect, and this is even from my wife and being in church and doing stuff, people always expect me to be entertaining and like on, and I'm actually very rarely like that. Like I am in this situation, obviously, you guys are all watching me, so I feel like a clown, I gotta do something. But at home, I am quiet, and anybody that I've hung out with socially, you know, I kind of do the poof and I'm gone. Like I can disappear like that. It's because I'm not that extroverted. I think people expect me to be super outgoing and friendly, and then they're a little like, oh my God, he's not that nice. And it's not that I'm not nice. I am nice. You just exhaust me.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
He did turn.
That's true.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that, yeah.
No, but hold on. So that's what I would think, but you guys know me, and you know, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes, okay. What surprised you?
The sleeve tattoos, the lead singer in a rock band.
All right.
Terrible golfer. Actually, I think I know why you're such a bad golfer. Right here, when you did that, you should be a lefty. Actually, you went left-handed there, and it was smoother than you.
My left is pretty smooth.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you're always the first guy to text somebody or email and say, "It was really nice seeing you." And until you get to know the guy a little better, it's a little creepy.
Especially when you read an email in that voice.
Yeah, it was
really nice.
The first couple I got were like, "Hey, buddy, hope that was awesome seeing you," and I'm like, "Yep." It sure was.
Yeah.
But you get to know the Rev, as we call him, and that's just his way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with you? This is kind of nice for me to ask you guys.
Oh.
Why am I so weird?
It surprised me about you. Oh, as I got to know you, then nothing really surprises me.
That's fair.
I'm like, okay, didn't know that. Now I do. But we always joke about, Jason's gonna get all uncomfortable now because he's like,
Yeah, this
you
is,
guys are
of course, we're opening the floodgates probably.
Yeah. Because you're a really special person. Like I said, you just have a rare, you are special, and you are okay with showing that you care to other people, and you really do. It's very authentic, right? And yeah. So I'm going to ask you two more questions, and then I'll turn it back to Jason. So, what makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, of course, Pearl Jam makes me happy. I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan. But it's such a weird question in the sense that many things make us happy for minutes and maybe a couple hours, maybe even a couple weeks. Like, I love being at the lake with my family. Incredible. I love my family. And then all of a sudden you send me back to my house and I got a 9 and 6-year-old jumping on me on the couch. I don't love that anymore. It's like, you were okay at the lake, but now could you find some friends, please? I'm just kidding. I love my kids. But what makes me happy, you know what? I feel the biggest buzz when there's like reciprocal love. And I don't mean that in such a hippie way at all. I mean, like, I love when I've been able to help somebody and they respond back in acknowledging that. I love that. That's what makes me happy, when other people feel happy. But there's lots of other things that make me happy, but.
On the flip side, what makes you sad?
Aw, see, look, there's people that are like, oh, God, we have to listen to this.
Quick, close the door. Don't let them out.
No, I think what makes me the saddest is when I've hurt somebody's feelings or affected somebody negatively. That makes me sad. Because I really don't ever mean to, and which is a weird for a personality of mine with no filter, because you would think that guy just loves saying stuff and ruining lives. I actually don't at all. I really don't. As soon as I'm like, oh, really, you just got to get to know me, but I don't want you to come to my house ever, so that's never going to happen. Anyway.
Thanks,
right.
Evan.
Hey, Andrea, thanks for the questions. All right.
I get that, because I also tend to say things that come back to me, and I really hate hurting people's feelings.
That's good.
Anyways, so we only have a few more here. We're just going to wrap things up with, and by the way, thank God her section's over. That was boring. Anyways, besides the... Well, it was.
Evan will text me afterwards and say, I'm sorry Jason said that
Yes, yeah.
during the interview because it really wasn't boring.
And I will
Andrea."
text you after and say, I meant it. What, in your mind, what is in the future for Chamber on Tap?
So I think it's kind of this organic thing. Like, obviously, I'm a bit touchy-feely. Like I said, I love Pearl Jam. And one of my favorite lyrics of Pearl Jam is, I don't want to think, I want to feel. That's how I am. I don't want to think about stuff. Let's just feel. This is awesome. And I think it's kind of got this organic thing that we get some good speakers, and that's only going to be by the help of like people that come here. Send us emails. Say, hey, if you thought about interviewing this person, I bet you they'd be interesting. I see it going for a while just because there's lots of cool stories in Saskatoon. Next year, I should say, we got some plans. We got an Ed McMahon starting. His name's Jason Hynd. He's going to help me out. He's going to help me interview like Ed McMahon and on the couch. Ooh, hee, ha.
I'm not going to interview. I'm just going to sit back and be like, ooh.
Yeah. Oh, Rev.
Or like
Slow
if
it
you
down.
actually have a good joke that they aren't getting, I'll be like, ah.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like just to
Help
kind
the
of
laughing.
jumpstart the
Yeah.
laughing a bit for you, because there's awfully uncomfortable moments at these. That's just, anyways, yeah.
And that's the weird thing about my sense of humor. Like, as soon as there's like an awkward moment, I jump like in the deep end. I'm like, you thought that was awkward? Watch this. It's gonna get worse.
Yes, you do. Yeah,
So
we've
weird
seen
thing.
that.
I remember
Familiar.
I emceed a wedding one time in small town Saskatchewan, and we had just moved to Saskatchewan, so I was like, no idea about it. And I said a couple jokes, and it was like crickets and tumbleweed. So then I just got worse and worse, and all of a sudden it was like NDP and combines and wheat, and they were all like, what? Anyway,
I want the punchline of that joke.
I don't know what it was
NDP
even.
combines and wheat.
Yeah. So this NDP guy walks into a combine to do some wheat. And he gave it away and then wondered why he couldn't pay his mortgage.
And he ends up in Alberta.
Yeah. See? That's exactly why we got Ed McMahon.
He saved
Alberta.
it.
Well done.
I don't know. I
That
mean,
was good.
yeah. Okay.
So that's next year. We got this guy helping out.
Yeah.
And
And I'm
email us.
resigning.
Clearly
Yeah,
helping.
and Andrea's
I'm
resigning.
resigning.
Yeah, she's done.
She's done because
Heart can't take it anymore.
my text message hurt her feelers.
Yeah, exactly. Hurt her feelers. But send us emails. People watching the show, if you know some business owners, send us emails. Say, hey, interview these guys. It would be cool. And we're going to do our best to interview whoever we can. Not everybody is going to fit the bill, because if they're boring, that sucks. We've had a few guests especially in this venue, that have been boring, and it was like incredible. See, look at her. She's like, please stop, Evan. Please stop.
So I'm going to do what I feel he really struggles with the most, and we're going to call it a day. This has been really nice.